my best friend. Oh my God, don't do this, for I messed up. I need my best friend. Oh my God, don't do this. Oh my God, I need my best friend. I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. I saw no shadow. I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I saw no shadow, but felt the glow. The warmth inside me, it kept me afloat. It felt like heaven had found my bones and gave me comfort when I feel alone. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better.
Welcome everyone to tonight's game. I am your host, username_Intel. Today I'm here joined by Acri or Acrinator, and I'm very excited to watch tonight's Owlet match between Los Beefers DB versus Otter Oxide.
Oxide.
Oxide. Well, either way, Acri, how are you feeling? Good night. How are you feeling about tonight's match?
I'm feeling pretty good. Both of these teams have not played any matches yet. Of course, this is the first week of Season 4 for Owlet, so they got a little bit to prove. Of course, Otters have been around for quite a while, but it's been a long off season, so they could have made some serious improvements or stagnated since the last time they were on the main stage here on Owlet.
Yeah, it's definitely been a ride. Metas have changed. And honestly, we're going to have to be seeing a lot coming from these teams. I think a lot of first game always shows up to often in your finals or when it comes tense. When you want that good momentum starter, you want to be ready when it comes in the long haul.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we're basically just waiting for these teams to be ready to hop straight into the map itself. I believe the first map will be Oasis, if the lobby settings are correct.
Yep, if we are. But something I want to point out going into this game, a bit of information that we were given beforehand is that Los Beefers, they're actually a university team. So that means these players most likely know each other IRL. They're probably with each other and they're working kind of closer. So they may have the advantage compared to the other team who's just been working together kind of online and just competing repeatedly in the league.
Yeah, possibly having that connection in real life should give them a little bit of extra synergy depending on how much time they can afford to practice. Of course, we have seen some other teams previously this weekend, mostly on Friday evening, display quite a bit of practice in their play. You know, the discipline comes in handy.
Yeah, scrimming 5 weeks for 5 days every week for 2 hours. Absolutely insane from Paradise. But going in, we're obviously seeing what looks to be monkey ball. I don't think I've seen this since Korean games.
Okay, so possibly a little bit of Super Monkey Ball. Looks like we might have some swaps. These teams do have a few more seconds to solidify their lineups. I wouldn't be shocked to see Pulse swap off of the Symmetra once the teleporter is out and about. Probably something. Yeah, Echo. There you go. So this is a little bit more standard. Seeing Hawk on these Arya for the double bubble, aside from Beefers opting to still play that Super Monkey Ball, and they find the first pick on the Bender there. Pretty quick disengage from Otters, and they're just probably going to give up that point and try and get out with the remainder of their lives.
Yeah, they had a very unfortunate first pick when it came to that. Otherwise, they would have had the opportunity with the double bubble to be engaged into this fight. Unfortunately, they do have to back up while they wait. And honestly, how big of a compositional difference is this?
It's really hard to say. I don't think either of these comps are better or worse. You do have a little bit of a dive coming in right now, though.
Yeah, the ball having to escape out. He got stunned in CC, going down so low, but having to escape when he safe. The monkey engaging back into the high ground wants to try to win it. Having to back up a bit, going low, but Pulse is able to find Spork out of position, and now it's a fight for the high ground as both teams want to take this over for the advantage on the point. Looks like one side wanting to jump down. Wow, Hawk is able to get Blue Jay. No Echo going to be able to burst people down. Being split. Now Taylor's going down. The Mercy's unable to res as a body block, and the monkey's being hit. Stuck inside, jump hitting into the wall, but Mankey's now gone. No Mercy. This is not looking good for their side as they have to back out. And all there's left is just Harambe on this point, but he's going to be going down very fast with the captain.
Yeah, it took them a little while to get there, obviously. They conceded about 45-ish%, the Otters did, before they actually got control of the point. But once they did get established and were able to engage on their own terms, they had a really good target focus, good dive coming in. And overall, you're going to have a little bit of trouble for Beefers to come in now, because you do have the gold economy, but the Otters have the high ground.
Yeah, but look at that. Already the dive coming in. Primal being used just to save himself due to the anti-grenade. Look at that. He's being able to boot Thunder off the map. Blue Jay quickly killing two. Miraculous just trying to even this up by killing off the Zenyatta, but no picks really coming in. The copy now broken. They're just trying their best. Harambe managing to pick off that Tracer. It's not looking great for the Otters as they're just trying to stall at this point. Zarya now going down, and they're finally going to be able to... What an amazing dive coming off of that team.
Yeah, I think both of these teams just have a little bit of trouble defending, in all honesty, because it's been take the point in a somewhat scrappy fight, immediately flip back over to the other side the very next engagement, so this could be a rather close series if this pattern continues. Interestingly enough, neither side really used too many ultimates there. I mean, you had Harambe using the Primal Rage, obviously, you had the Echo, and Ana using theirs on the side of the Otters, but otherwise, it didn't really seem to have very much impact. It felt very weak.
Yeah, but look at that. Hawk is with the combo dive, able to get Sport. Now the grab was on Surge, keeping them from falling onto the point. Res goes on, bringing Sport back, bringing the second to 66. As Bob is being moved, Mind being used on the point just to split them up. And looks like Barion's going to be going down to the Mind, accidentally walking in while Primal, Pulse, and Hawk able to even this up, fight even as Pulse unevens it by getting Taylor. Now the ball just doing its best to stay alive. Echo not being able to finish him off. Unfortunately, Blue Jay got stuck on the ground. We're at 92% its last fight, and it looks like Otter's going to be able to capture this point for a last fight territory.
Yeah, they're going to have a few more fights, probably about 2 to 3 more, to hold on to this point if they want to take this round at the very least. Taylor does swap over to the Soldier away from the Tracer that they were on for a little while there. I suppose they already used their pulse bomb, so might as well at this point. You know, allows them to get back in point a little quicker, possibly have the attack visor. They have a few fights to build the pulse with as well, so they could try to use Blue Jay's copy.
Yeah, but they pretty much ignore the high ground, going down, anti-grenade, finally killing off Hawk. And what an amazing dive. They don't have that double bubble. Copy going onto the wrecking ball, hopefully to help disengage people with the counter copy coming in. Getting that monkey now coming out, wanting to group off that Honor. Fender's going down. They don't have any healing, but Pulse is able to get support out of the fight as Mind splits some up. But it looks like they're being able to do things as the rest moves back on the support. Bring it, and Pulse and Miraculous able to find some miraculous picks right now. As Beavers are looking a bit scary, 4 on point, but Maker's now going down. They now have no healing, and Miraculous doing some miraculous things. We now kill Blue Jay. Fire Blast is able to get out Varian, but it doesn't really matter when there are Tracers in the back line. And it is that last fight. Pulse able to kill Harambe as they're now trying to touch point, and the boop from a Hawk stops them. Same with the Pulse Bomb on Taylor, just instantly kills him before he could touch that point.
Score.
That was insanely back and forth. I think these teams are very evenly matched if what we just saw is accurate to the remainder of this series. It just went back and forth so much, and it really came down to that final clutch factor at the very end, especially with Pulse and Miraculous getting so many kills in the final hour for Otters, and that really helped them seal the deal and not flip the point over for a third time in the back and forth that it was going with for a while. We do have a few compositional changes here, mostly on the side of Otters. Taylor going over to the Ashe as opposed to the Soldier or the Tracer, and we're seeing a little bit more stereotypical meta that we've been seeing the last couple of weeks from Otters, the Ryan McCree brawl with Baptiste and Lucio.
Honestly, I'm hoping to see a bit more out of Spork. They did die a lot during those last few fights. As both teams engage back onto the high ground into the scene. The Blue comes down, hits the May off. They now are able to get that wall, but they don't have the May. She's out of position, and the Boop still come out. Blue Jay able to get Bender. Now they've lost the back team. Your composition is ruined as Fire is able to go pick off Miraculous and pretty much to start melting the team. Hawk is able to find Fire, but it doesn't even matter. There's only 2 on point, the tank, and they're just going to be killed so quickly so that the team can be able to capture this point.
Blue Jay is an absolute menace on this Echo, just staying true to the Raven, raining death from on high. In reality, they're not very far away from their copy if they keep landing those sticky mines in large groups like they were. Managed to take out Miraculous very early into that fight, obviously, to take out McCree, and the Echo has free reign, more or less. It's going to be a little bit of a difficult engagement here for the Otter.
Now already quick on the engage before they can do that rotation. Bubble being broken, Ball having to use his healing just to get out into that fight, but mines are built so quick, but the froze, he wasn't able to escape, and now they're going to be going out without their Ball for the disc, and Pulse is also able to get Taylor. Now they have less damage and less people looping around. Looks like they're going to be using their abilities first as the immortality comes out, just keeping them alive. One of them drops down, the copy coming on Blue Jays, hoping to use something with his Diva. Already being remixed inside the Diva, Copy going to have the be going out. Mines now being used to split them inside the small room while the front goes out. The Shatter onto the Solo Monkey and Blizzard. Just to help in that insurance as Hawk is able to go into the backline and able to finish off those last 2. A bit of an overinvestment, but a good capture as Fire is just unable to stall.
Yeah, I think in general Pulse did a really great job of just not allowing Fire Bats and Harambe to really exist anywhere near the point without just becoming a statue. So a good May play there from them. They understood what their win condition was, just completely disabling the enemy's front line. And it looks like they're still keeping an eye on the flanks, not opting to go up to the high ground quite yet, looking for where the enemy's going to be poking in.
Yeah, they use that window early, but it gets walled off while Fire just slams down on them. They're not able to really use that window, which is very unfortunate. They want to use it to get that early pick as they just stay on the high ground, but Hawks drops down, interestingly enough. Now they're going to be looking to dive that. Immortality being used with that Diva Bomb. Now being outside of the bubble, Sportic able to shield himself with Fire, is unable to save himself. Salmare being used just to engage against that Bob, as the rally's being used just to sustain that on the bottom of the point. Window now being used. Varian somehow able to get Harambe. Well, he wasn't paying attention. The boop off of Sport. I don't know if he walked off the Lucio boop plus Hammer kills him, but now it looks like Fire's just going to stall this point and even it up. Blue Jay able to get 2 picks, and now it's going to be getting exposure. Hawk into the back line, just being able to get Blue Jay and Mankey. That's going to finish this fight, and there's going to be no stall, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a sloppy dive there from Beefers. In general, if you're playing the Super Monkey Ball, the Wrecking Ball and the Winston, generally it's the Wrecking Ball who's going to be acting as the main tank, diving in, but then the rest of the team has to dive in with them, so you have to see Harambe as well as Blue Jay dive in.
They're going in for such an early brawl. Look at that 4K with the Hammer just going straight in. How unfortunate the Brig moves in first, they may wall it off, and even while they're just trying to look in to get some takes and they invest the mines, they're unable to find anything, and now it's last fight territory.
Yeah, as well as the defense here. Otter's having a few key ultimates as well. Blizzard, Shatter, High Noon, those are all fight-winning ultimates by themselves, so it's going to be a little bit easier to hold this point.
Now look at that, the Copy coming out as the boom goes down, but that Shatter hits both the Primal Blood and Copy. High Noon being used, looking for the pick. The shot goes out, unable to find anything. Both Reinhardt just rolling in on that point. Taylor managing to find Blue Jay. The Shatter comes out, managing to get Variant M2 different as the Bob comes out, able to help end this fight, and it looks like they're going to be able to go in for one more fight.
Well, at the very least, they did get a lot of ultimates out of Otters. That will be the consolation to having to win a few more fights in order to secure this round and stay in Oasis for the time being. However, you do have the other 3 ultimates, well now, 3 ultimates all swapped over to the Reaper, trying to get a little bit more brawly, probably put some more pressure onto Harambe in particular, not allowing him to dive in with Fire Bats. But you do have both support ultimate and Rock Spot coming in, so Otters do have the potential to take this, especially if they can take out Harambe here.
Speed's gonna be used, and the dive, and Harambe is gonna be going down so early. That's unfortunate. Now window being used on the bottom. Mines being split all around point while the Diva Bomb goes high up in the air, unable to find anyone, but does take control of this side ground. while the ball is just looking to just spin around, the Echo not really being able to find anyone, just Fire just looking to do anything for it, managing to find Blender, Hawk managing to find Monkey, and it looks like Harambe is going to be coming back into the point. The fight's now even as Pulse is able to find Fire. Now they have less to tank, and Pulse just going in, while Blue Jay is able to find Miraculous. This fight's still somewhat even with Reaper having the advantage. They use the Sound Wave to call this out. Yellow being able to kill a Harambe too. This is not looking great, and Blue Jay's just staying onto the high ground. Pulse is able to find Twerk, and now he's being forced to stall. He can't even touch. He doesn't in time, and Otter's able to take the first map victory.
Crucially there, the beat from Beefers did not come out in time to save Harambe. He died probably half a second too soon. Otherwise, they probably could have stalled that point out. Who knows what could have happened from there. I didn't catch how close he was to the Primal Rage, but if he was anywhere near close, he might have had it. That could have been a much better stall. Yeah, Varian there just swinging the hammer away, finding a 4K. And that's going to be one map for Otters. 2 more to go.
At first, when it came to both of these type of dive composition, these teams looked a bit even, but I think a slight difference when it comes to that Otters understand a win condition. Beefers kind of wouldn't either not properly engage together or really play in weird areas that would end up costing them.
Yeah, in general, you had Beefers, their Wrecking Ball, would more often than not look for displacement while the rest of the team was kind of like huddling up somewhere in the back. And if they're going to do something like that, they should probably swap the Winston out for something like a Zarya or a Sigma, or maybe even a Diva, so that the rest of the team can kind of coalesce around them. Because when you have the Winston as opposed to any of the other actual off tanks, because the Winston is playing the role of the off tank in that composition that they were playing with the Super Monkey Ball, it allows the team to sort of have an anchor to build around while the Wrecking Ball is looking for displacement. Instead, it was just the Wrecking Ball going in trying to create a one-man dive, and we saw how well that worked.
It was so unfortunate, as well as they weren't really ever focused on a single target. You often see them winning off of those big ultimates, or at least when they're comboing, as the Echo, we saw them shatter, and they were able to get one pick and slow pick, but playing the monkey dive ball, you need to be fast, you need to be quicker, and you need to be focused, and this team they need to kind of sharpen up if they want a chance to kind of go against Otters right now, because they look absolutely on fire right now.
Yeah, definitely. Otters in general had a much stronger mid-fight engagement, or before too many of the ultimates came out, and it was really just based on team coordination and target focus. They generally were getting more value. They're finding a lot of their picks earlier on in the fights, and that just allowed their superior target focus to really collapse in on the remainder of Beefers by the time they were ready to use their ultimates and try and stall out the point.
And although I will say I am very happy to see a different type of composition being used. Often we see people being a slave to the meta, just only running that brawl. I mean, at the end, they still ran it well, but it was really interesting to see kind of their favoritism towards this dive. I think we might be seeing that a lot more when it comes to the rest of the series.
Yeah. Honestly, if they're going to try and roll for the dive, though, I'd almost like to see them, if they're not willing to play extremely aggressive and very fast like the Super Monkey Ball kind of requires, possibly switch it up to something like a traditional dive where you have the Winston and the Diva, and actually dive in with something like a Tracer, and then have, say, an Ashe, or even still the Echo can be in the backline guarding the supports. Maybe that could work a little bit better for them, because while traditional dive is really fast, it's not quite as fast as the Super Monkey Ball that we saw. So there's a little bit more room for error.
We're going to see a side switch, as well as we're going straight on to Route 66. I think this is the perfect map for the team to be able to run their dive, as well as a couple switches, I believe, unless I am wrong. But either way, I think this is the perfect map for Otters to just be able to play the way that they want. Well, no, Beefers. Though Beefers have the opportunity to play dive a lot more when it comes to first and streets phase, but then the moment you get to third point, I think they're going to have to be able to switch to brawl if they just end up running dive.
Yeah, possibly. This might be the time for the Beefers to show a little bit of versatility. Of course, this was literally just one map so far. Both maps both rounds that they played in Oasis were very conducive to the composition they were playing. They just didn't necessarily play it optimally, shall we say. So they could possibly have a really strong brawl, and we might see that if they get to third point on Route 66. But in the meantime, I mean, like you said, the first 2 points of Route 66 are going to be perfectly fine for Dive if that's what they're more comfortable with. So I think we're just waiting for the teams to give the ready signal, and we'll hop straight into Route 66.
Something I do want to kind of point out, little favoritism right now, is I'm kind of in love with Hawks. We throughout that game, I don't know if I really pointed it out or called it, but Hawks is doing such an amazing job pressuring off these DPS and splitting up the backline that's why half the time you don't see any real damage in the kill feed. If Hawks is doing his job and focusing as that diva he plays, he just pops off, and we see him just in that back getting those 2 kills, finishing everything up, and honestly, you love to see it.
Yeah, definitely. It's there's a few different kinds of divas that you can see. It's a very versatile hero. You can see the more supportive player, something like, say, Note of old in the Overwatch League, where you could have more of the assassin divas like Fury or Hotba back in the day. And Hawk definitely seems to be more of the latter, where it's just kind of going for those kills. You know, they don't need to protect their team if the other team is already dead. So,
yeah, as we go into this map, I think 66 is a map with varied history. I guess you could say, because the compositions on here are either very stagnant or very confusing. Obviously, we've seen different types. Like we've seen people run Hog and Zarya on this map. We've seen them run Hog Ball. We've seen people run Dive. We've seen people run Brawl. And it's always in this weird phase of people either stay onto the comp or they're like, screw it, let's run what we want to run.
Yeah. In the meantime, it looks like Otters are going to be sticking with what worked, and that's more of the traditional Brawl composition that we've been seeing as of late in the meta. A little bit less so in Overwatch League, but they're on a different level. You know, these are Diamond and Plat players. They don't need to follow Overwatch League and all their intricacies. It looks like we might be seeing a similar composition for the time being from Beefers. They are still in spawn. They got like at least 15 seconds remaining to swap it up if they want, but Blue Jay might be sticking onto this Reaper. A little bit of frontline pressure, perhaps. They have assessed the situation and realized that the tanks were the problem on Otters.
How big a fan are you compared to the Divas last Zarya?
Honestly, in the current meta, it's really whoever can play that hero better. Zarya has a lot more min-maxing currently, just because there's so much more to deal with, especially with more of a poke Brawl in the current meta, if you're playing Brawl, but either or, it really depends on how they play it right now.
It looks like they want to leave that point. Nobody's really going to contest it. Seems like they want to rotate and take the high ground, killing Yellow instantly. Before anything can happen, the wall comes out. Blue Jay able to get Miraculous. That wall goes down. Not going to be able to push out. Looks like they were caught with their pants down, as that Immortality is unable to really save anyone. Hawks is still able to get Blue Jay, but it doesn't really matter when there's only 3 people on the point. Looks like Brian's gonna be stuck as they kind of charge back into the backline. Fire needing to back out. Still somewhat of an even fight of the stagger. No real focus as the Reinhardt is being frozen but not being shut down. Now they're looking for that wall. So let's look about the shatter. It looks like Taylor managed to save himself, but Fire is out of position, got killed by Bender. Now they have lost their main tank. Interesting enough, using that shatter, they're gonna have it for this next fight. They do have the window. Seems that they still want to take it as we continue to go on. That wall coming out, the maze stuck into the backline, freezing him once more, and again not being able to do anything. They shoot out that Diva Bomb. It's only able to find out Rame, but that's the pick you want. That's already at high charge, and now Miraculous is able to hit Monkey, and it looks like due to the miscalculations and the lack of focus, they are not going to be able to push this anymore. Poor Beefers.
That was a really weird engagement, so I'm going to try and unpack everything that just happened. That was a really weird non-rotation from Otters initially while they were up on 2 big girls, where they decided to just let the Reaper run straight into them and not do anything about it. And that's what lost them a few members and let the Arc push in a little bit further. But then you had eventually Variant landing a nice shatter that led to the second Fire Bats, and then Beavers didn't really disengage after losing their Rhyme.
Yeah, but Fire gets the Mega Charge, that Blizzard coming out. Same with Window. They want to way invest. They want to try to win this so quickly as we see Otter's just sticking on to this point. Blue Jay was far into the backline. The Graviton comes out, but the High Noon makes sure to kill Mankey and ends their chances of winning. The charge comes out, the Sound Barrier keeping them up for a tiny bit more. Fire's able to hit out Bender, but it doesn't even matter because the entire team is gone. Hashtag where's the fault? Oh, Miraculous also gets spored while he tried to escape. The stagger is ridiculous with this team.
There is just no escape from Miraculous. He's been landing so many shots left and right, and it's quite frankly just ridiculous. It makes it even more so ridiculous that no one was bothering to punish him for being way behind the attacking team on the high ground behind them. So I guess you take those if you're Miraculous.
Yeah, look at this. Now they're jumping on the point. They pop out the Shatter. It gets blocked. They don't eat the Blizzard. And able to hit that Reinhardt charge. He comes out. The Death Blossom being crumbled inside the Immortality. Miraculous able to hit Blue Jay at the end of it. That was a nice headshot as the Shatter comes out from Fire and hits Pulse. And now they're just looking to clean up this fight as Hawks is just being able to contest on this point. They want to try to stall this out as much as they can and maybe have an opportunity to recontest this fight because nobody's attempting to die as Hawks is still, again, just on this point with Diva Bomb. And it just has the opportunity to play. Looks like they want to keep this stall. The Reinhardts come back. Immortality. Miraculous dies by Harambe as the strike comes out. Blue Jay now able to kill Yellow as they're just going into this Reinhardt. That charge being able to miss, but it looks like Fire has the opportunity to just go in and hit W, and now they're finally going to be able to capture this point. Beefers finally taking this opportunity in their favor.
We questioned Beefer's ability to notice and act upon win conditions a little bit in Oasis, but honestly, with this Reaper brawl, they seem to understand the win conditions very well, which is get the Reaper in the enemy's face. Obviously, they're going to outrange you with Miraculous just hitting all of his shots and being a McCree in general, but Blue Jay on the Reaper was constantly in Hawk and Varian's faces, not allowing them to really do anything other than hold shield against Reapers. That allowed for them to get a little bit more scrappy in the Reapers to find these openings, even if they had to create them by force.
Also, massive Shatter comes out before I can say anything. Yellow kills Taylor, and the counter Shatter may come up with Immortality Sound Barrier, keeping everyone alive. They want to even up this fight, but they're unable to do anything. That side window looking like a TV because it's just out of place in this area. As Fire is just trying to escape this constant brawl. Looks like that window's being used. The wall comes out. Looks like Harambe stuck inside their backline, wanting to try to pressure them out. Gonna be D-Mech inside the backline. Doesn't use the Diva Bomb to try to save themselves to recontest, and they're going to be falling off the map as Miraculous tries to flank. It looks like this team is a bit confused on where they're going. That wall splits off their main damage. Mankey's going to go down. That Reinhardt just trying to escape and charge someone, but he's going to be flashed and fan the hammer.
It feels like Beefers are just a little bit slow on not staggering. You know, they continually stay into the fight well after it's already lost. You know, they lost 3-4 members, and the last 2 people are just staggering themselves so terribly. Doesn't help when you have a Yellow Cello running around pocketing the supports on the side of Otter, just not allowing them to die. See, they're not going to find any return.
Blizzard being used on the side of the Beefers. That Diva Bomb being used. Counter Blizzard now being popped. That's going to stall them out. The Mayo gets eaten. That's unfortunate because that Sound Barrier is the only thing keeping their team alive right now. Fire, Miraculous managing to kill him. Bender now taking everyone else out. Hawks being able to get that Halo as the High Noon trying to be used to save this fight. Interestingly enough, when they still have a fight left, this is not looking great for the Beefers.
I hope that was I'm gonna swap High Noon from Blue Jay. If not, that's gonna be painful. Okay, there we go. Good. That's gonna say, High Nooning when the Diva has full defense matrix right in her face is probably not the best idea unless you're just gonna be swapping and over to the Hanzo now for Blue Jay. So probably a little bit of a different look. Okay.
That Shatter comes out, hitting the Diva, and it looks like Fire gets split from the team. That Diva Bomb coming out, hoping to make them some space. Yellow manages to get picked, but they've lost the main take. Now, Varin is able to just start to be able to run into them. Hawks may go down, and the Diva enemy, Harambe, is just able to go inside their backline. Taylor able to get pulsed, and the Reinhardt now having to worry as he has to just back up. Bender's the only one alive and has to escape this fight.
Yeah, aside from Harambe, though, no one can really go to contest Bender at the moment. It doesn't look like Blue Jay is aware. No, they are aware. Never mind, Bender is very much not safe right now. That'll be another crucial stagger.
And now they're in overtime. And honestly, it was a bit interesting because we saw Fire get split, but they still managed to bring that fight back.
It looks like Otters are going to concede second point for a better third point hold. No, okay,
No,
they are contesting.
they interestingly enough want to go in. They just waited for the melee miraculous going down the high noon being popped early, and they're just able to start winning this fight. I'm guessing they wanted to dry fight this and bait out some ultimates. Kataka's able to get Blue Jay, and there's only 2 people left on the point. They're not going to be able to capture because Bender is now the last person just trying to die.
Interesting recontest there. It felt like there was a little bit of a lack of communication on the side of Otters because half of them went in really early, the other half, namely the tanks, were kind of sitting there looking like they were questioning if they actually wanted to go in, and that led to this really disjointed re-engage. They probably could have made a decent attempt to stop the cart then and there, but it felt a lot sloppier than it needed to be.
Ults are about even too, so it's about to use the first. Harambe throwing it far into the back line. Immortality gets used for Miraculous, found out of position. Same with Blue Jay, because Fire is able to get Paul Soundbaiter being used to keep them alive, to help them engage, because they don't have that Hanzo to help them get that pressure. Now they've been shutting down Varian, and all there's left is the supports, and they have to back out. Hawks even switching to the ball just to stall.
Yeah, for the most part, if you're beefers, you don't really care about Blue Jay dying there, because he's going to be back so fast, as well as having the dragon, so they can just toss that in spawn if they really needed to, or Blue Jay be thinking about using the dragons rather soon. Yep, sure
Shatter gets blocked, dragons being popped out, same with that window, but they're in the backline. Harambe's harassing, the blizzard being used on this point. We have 18 seconds behind you, managing to get to and keep their hopes alive. Mankey's being pressured inside the immortality, now being pushed far away, just jumping out. Still on point, looking to just do anything. Looks like beefers are going to be able to try to capture this point. No, sorry, beefers are not going to be able to capture this point. Looks like they're going to stop, and the win condition is very clear. Capture 3 points.
Pretty much, yeah. They fell shy by like, what, gotta be 5 meters, give or take. So Beefers gotta be pretty proud of that push. No, it's not exactly an easy place to hit, and it's very defendable, but they also have to make sure that they don't get snowballed as hard as they snowballed. So it will be a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a bit worried from that performance. I think the Otters just didn't understand how to go against that super fast pace. At times, they were not committing their ults or staying stacked, and Beefers were just able to abuse that every single time.
Yeah, definitely. It felt like they didn't quite understand the enemy team's win condition in this case, where the Beefers really wanted to get up close and personal for the vast majority of the map while they had Blue Jay onto that Reaper. And in that case, if you're Otters, you really just have to kite it. You know, you have the McCree, you have the Mei, so you can slow them down, you can poke them down, and you should theoretically be able to win that, because you both had a Lucio, so it's not like either team is going to go faster than the other. So realistically, that was mostly just on Otters having a very weird inability to recognize when the enemy was right on top of them, and that's exactly what they wanted to. Oh, what is this? Okay,
yeah, Mr. Acronator, are you seeing this? We see a mirror on both teams, but we're seeing an attempt in a spawn camp. Let's see how this goes. Both, and look, they're coming out at the one spot. They see them, the scouting area, and Harambe peeks out. They're just gonna ignore and go the opposite way. And now these teams are fighting on towards the point. The Mei wall comes out. It's gonna be able to block, and it looks like Fire doesn't recognize it. That immortality having to be used. The charge comes out, gets stuck, and now Hawks is just looking to boot somebody out, but not able to. Varian inside the backline, just looking to kind of get, and he manages to get Fire. I think he accidentally falls off the map because I didn't see a Lucio put him. Harambe able to get Miraculous in the backline, same with Taylor, but Yellow's able to get Harambe. Still somewhat of an even and uncomfortable fight as both these teams has lost their takes, and it's up to the DPS. Taylor's able to get Yellow, and now they kind of want to back out. That Mei is contesting the point, saying get off or die.
Basically, yeah, but that was a really good attempt there from Beefers. They did manage to slow down progress a lot more than it otherwise would have been if it were a cleaner win for the attack, and now they have a much earlier recontest once again.
Yeah, they use that early wall, but were unable to shut off Fire, and now they're just looking to stall push, waiting for that first ultimate. Harambe gets frozen. That wall now coming out there, looking to just crawl in a bit closer through that one area. The shatter comes out, hitting everyone but Fire, and now that window, but the counter window with the Fire Strike combo is able to get 2, but by this point it's end. The Dragons even gets eaten and then killed by Hawks. You've already taken his home. Don't take his life.
Too late for that. he has been given a one-way ticket straight back to spawn, and while the Beavers should have another recontest here, as the card is not exactly moving at a blistering pace, they have a decent economy going into this. They have the Blizzard, they have the Hydra, they have the Bomb. Sure enough, there's one of them. Actually, no,
High-Noon being used early, no shot just yet, but the Diva's stuck in the backline. That bomb coming out, they want to try to get her, and she's able to remake the counter. High-Noon being used, fire goes down, Sport goes down, and they didn't even contest. What was the point of taking the fight?
I think that was a lot to do with Hawk's bomb being placed up on the high ground. It made it very awkward for Beavers to contest where they wanted to. Instead, they had to drop down a little bit further, and the rest of Otters were just in lieu waiting for everyone else to drop down and collapse in on the defense there. So that's a pretty good time bank, in all honesty, for Streets phase of Route 66. They're going to have a decent opportunity to get the card exactly to second point.
And they're going to be leading into this corner. Blue Jays back on towards that Reaper, so now they have the close brawl just the way they want to play. Look at them, that immortality keeping them up. The knocks down the main tanks. They're not going to be able to freeze, but Blue Jays able to rake right out of it as they reach this corner. The Shatter comes out, able to hit the back line, while the Diva Bomb comes out, but they sound barrier just to give themselves some sustainment towards that. But they're still being stuck. Otter's not looking great when it comes to the stall. They're just trying to wait their turn and wait to just go in, but they're not finding the opportunity in the picks that they want. This team is just pretty much even. That window now coming out. Otter's using this opportunity to want to push forward. Fire still has his Shatter, waiting to just use that for the prime opportunity to maintain difference being eaten. Still poking in. The Blizzard coming out. It's gonna not be able to freeze anyone. But the Rider in the back just shatters too. The High-Noon now being used in the back, but is able to get walled off. He's just slowly Michael Jackson walking in. The shot goes off. Miraculous now wiping the High-Noon of their own. The immortality keeping them up. The counter window now being used. These teams are basically slow dancing with each other like a Christian high school. As Fire gets trapped inside, Harambe is able to get Miraculous, and they're barely keeping Fire up. Amazing from this team. That Shatter comes out, same with the Diva Bomb right out, and they're unable to really kill anyone in the backline, but they do kill everyone inside that room. What an amazing slow outcome that was. Jesus.
The fight is still kind of going on here. It's there's almost no target focus from either of these teams at this point. Everything's devolved into just comp and quick play, but it doesn't really matter because if you're the defense, you're stalling so much for free. Already Blue Jay has his Death Blossom, and they're gonna
yeah, but already using it, the sound barrier, keeping them alive, and unfortunately it looks like they're just gonna be going back to the spawn room. They wanted to try to win off that Death Blossom, but unfortunately they were just kind of split.
Yeah, honestly, if you're Blue Jay, you probably think about going back to the Hanzo for this final point just because of the long, straight sightline. It's going to be very difficult for them to deal with the Hanzo because they don't have anything to answer with it. Interestingly, they go over to the Junkrat. I suppose the tire can be valuable, but it's going to be a little bit difficult finding the right angles to hit concussive mines on, but that's his problem, not ours. In the meantime, you do have Miraculous and Pulse coming up on or already have their ultimates, but the defense does have quite a few that are just less than 10% away themselves, so this could be a little bit of an old fiesta coming up.
Yep, we're going to be seeing both of these teams get ready. Otters don't have the ult advantage inside their hands. They're both leading, handling that Diva Bomb being used with the Blizzard Blizzard and High-Noon combo, able to get two. While the Blizzard freezes that main team, not being able to escape the wall, splits them off, and now they're gonna have to back out. So the hope Suriken says, but it looks like Harambe wants to stall this point out for as long as he can. Being demeched on this point, he's just gonna die, and now we have to see what's gonna happen. Blue Jays halfway up to a rip tire.
Interestingly enough, that tiny bit of stall that Harambe did on the baby Diva was just enough to let about 5 members of Beavers come back, but I'm not sure if it's gonna matter.
Didn't matter because Brian is able to get the Shadow, gets the charge, but dies unfortunately. Now the sound barrier being used, Taylor managing to find him. The Diva Bomb gets two! Unfortunately, this is not looking great, and they don't touch! They see 9! The Fire was just a bit out of the point, and Otters wins. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's tragic. Firebats had just hit, I believe, 3 with a beautiful Shatter, but just too far away to contest point, and no one else was anywhere near. Miraculous this beautiful, I believe, 3K. Yep. There's one,
Yeah,
there's
if
two,
you're
and there's three.
if you're a beefers, you're a bit frustrated at that type of push. They tried to engage early, but it wasn't early enough. The Blizzard and High Noon had already been used. You kind of want... That's why you want the Hanzo, too. That Junkrat's really good at if you're just playing faster than the enemy team. The Rip Tire, the damage onto the shields, just being able to dislocate everyone, that's why you play it.
Yeah, well, that's neither here nor there now, as Otters is up 2-0 in the series. Los Beefers had a really good showing in the last map. I think that's a little bit of hope that they can cling on to for this match point coming up. But they really do have to bring it together and not allow that to boom them into defeat a little bit earlier than it otherwise would be.
Honestly, I'm a bit more worried for Beaver's university team needing a bit more practice, it seems. I mean, these players do have some people with full-time jobs, one's in Harvard, so obviously they might not play as much compared to Otters, but honestly, their performance is still somewhat stellar. They're keeping it slightly even, except when it came to the Steam rule, they just couldn't slow it down.
Yeah, definitely. They had a few moments there of brilliance, but otherwise they couldn't quite pull it out at the very end. They just gotta, honestly, I think work on their communication just a tiny bit more. If they are communicating, then probably get the rest of the team practicing on following through with whatever calls are being made, because it's very much a coordination issue right now. That Otters is inching ahead just a tiny bit more. It looks like the next map will be Eichenwald. And I believe Otters is going to be sticking on defense.
Most likely, yeah. If you're Otters, I don't see why not. Most teams like to do attack just to see which win condition they have. Obviously, you see that in different teams. But something I do want to point out is these Reinhardts, I don't know if you've noticed this, they have been turned so aggressive lately.
Yeah, you love to see it. It's, I guess, channeling their inner super.
Both Varian and Hawks were just running into each other, just charging it 2 feet away before they could react and then shattering the backline. And honestly, I love to see Varian just hitting these massive shatters. Fire is not being able to position or at least shut them down, and that's going to be worrying as a main tank.
Yeah, definitely. When it gets to the point where both Ryans are getting equally large shatters and they're dying about equally as much and everything else is equal, it's really going to come down to whichever one of them can predict and prevent the other's shatters more. And in this case, neither of them are really preventing any shatters for the most part. But in the meantime, if one of them can, especially Firebats in this case, that could be the final key to allowing Beavers to just inch ahead ever so slightly and actually take out some map wins.
Yeah, and honestly, if you ask me, I kind of feel this is a bit individual differences. These teams, I mean, obviously Beefers are having issues with team focusing, but I definitely think Hawks and Miraculous have just been playing out of their mind. They're hitting these shots, they're pressuring people, and they're just shutting them down. So if you're Beefers, what is your condition to win?
In general, you just gotta not allow the fights to devolve into these deathmatch scenarios and stick together, right? Because if you separate and split up and try and take these 1v1s, Hawk and Miraculous are going to win those fights because they have been the entire series long. So if you stick together as a team and force the team play, you might actually be able to focus down the D.Va. You might be able to punish the McCree, because Miraculous has been going a lot of flanks on the McCree, and that is punishable, but they have to actually identify and collapse in on him.
Yeah, which I can consider a bit of an... I feel like that's a bit of an unfortunate thing, because you kind of need to have your playstyle centered around either going into the front line and fully ignoring that Kree, or your DPS is staying out, staying focused, and shutting that down. Unless you decide you just want to run a Brig and kind of just have her there and just block every piece of damage like Jake.
I believe earlier in Oasis, Spork was playing Brig briefly, but that didn't really work out for them in the meantime, although that might have also been a stall pick. I remember seeing a Brig at one point in Oasis. I think it was.
Yeah, I think they picked Brig, but then immediately switched because when they engaged into the fights, they weren't on Brig for long. Well, no, they weren't on Brig for the entire map, but they kept getting split up. They never stayed with their other support, and unfortunately that led them to die a lot of the times. But they still did a somewhat decent job. It was on Beefers. No, I think it was Otters. Otters ran it, yeah. because beefers were blue on that point.
Something like that, yeah. Either way, we're just waiting for the teams to give the R, and then we're off to Germany in the Black Forest to invade an abandoned castle.
Man, I love Eichenwald. It's always felt like one of those maps that Blizzard got right after they finally added changes to it to add that one door there. So when it comes to opportunities into this map, I think this is a highly adjusted brawl. You can obviously run double bubble or any type of dive on towards the second point, but I don't think you run it because you just mess up your ult economy at that point.
Yeah, in all honesty, the biggest variation I could see on Eichenwald is possibly play like a Pharah Mercy on first point, maybe in second point, although Miraculous has been hitting their shots nonstop on the McCree, so I don't know if you want to risk that as opposed to just sticking with like the May McCree, or maybe something that's more ground-based that a McCree can't just punish 24/7.
Honestly, what I'm hoping to see is some different compositions. Beefers talked all about how they had great groundbreaking shreds that may or may not include Bastion, and I have seen no Bastion at all. I may hate Bastion, but I want to see the attempt. I want to see the beauty of the changes.
They did tease it very briefly on their attack on Route 66, but they swapped off it before the gates ever opened, so who knows if they'll opt to play it here. It is actually a viable strategy for the defense. I'm not so sure about the offense unless they have a very set in stone idea of how they want to teleport the Bastion around with Symmetra. Either way, we'll get to see in just a moment because they are on attack. We'll get to choose their heroes.
No Bastion.
Yeah.
I feel like a dog who's watching their owners eat and they're just refusing to give me parts of it. What is the inside scoop that they could run? Obviously, I'm excited to see Blue Jay on that Echo. He just absolutely did amazing on Oasis, and I think that can hopefully make a change, but Miraculous is also good at shutting that down.
Yeah, it really depends on what angles Blue Jay can take. Obviously, they're going to have to play around the rooftops and duck and weave around to make sure that Miraculous can't hit their shots. And it also kind of relies on Miraculous to realize that it's their job to take out the Echo. It feels like a no-brainer, but, this is Plat and Diamond, so you'd be surprised sometimes how the tunnel visioning can happen. But the gates will open and we will be able to see exactly what will transpire.
Yep, no mercy also from the Beefers. They're going to be sticking onto that Lucio for the speed boost. It's much more valuable as they're going to be splitting through. They're just waiting for that May one to be baited. It splits them up but doesn't stop them from moving in. Looks like they want to go straight for the Otters, taking onto that point. The poke comes in, that Zarya moving closer in while the speed goes out and they want to immediately brawl. Immortality helping to keep them up as they're going to counter it, and both Immortalities now down. Both these teams just waiting to find any advantage, just taking these off angles, and they manage to find Mankey. That's the pick you want. There is no one stopping you, but the charge goes out. Fireblitz in their back line. Firebats charged, and unfortunately pays his life for it as Varian just able to go into the backline and kill everyone else.
I think a little bit of the salt in the wound as well is that he managed to charge the Lucio of all characters, who's literally going to be back in 0.5 seconds. So that's, as opposed to if they got the McCree or the May or even the Baptiste, they could have possibly engaged in a very short 5v6 window. But no, it's going to be standard 6v6 coming into this next fight.
Yep, they're already going to take that left turn. No. And this kid's Blue Jay with the window. That's not good. And they're immediately going to go out. The Shatter gets blocked. No, it doesn't. Somewhat, it manages to find Ken. They're up to Ken. Fire. Yellow, which, as Hackery said again, 0.5 seconds.
It is kind of funny that it happened twice, though. Either way, I'm sure Yellow Card is probably going to be rethinking their positioning from here on out, because they are apparently a magnet to Firebat's charge. Unfortunately, Firebats was in the middle of a jump when Varian was looking for the shatter, so just got a free shatter onto Talo. I'm sure they would have rather be blocking that. Oh no.
Now that grab gets used, the charge gets booped, but the Talo uses the Iron manages to get better. That might even up this fight because they didn't get that initial pick, so now they have to back up and wait for their healer to come back. And same with Varian going down, Miraculous able to hit Blue Jay, but Taylor's now in the field and he's scouting down like the Pokemon he is. That Blizzard being used, hopefully to stall it out with the Sound Barrier, keeping their hopes alive. The Shatter too, but he gets blocked by the Zarya bubble. That's a bit greedy while the counter cell barrier comes out. Pulse doesn't live from it, but it doesn't matter because the tank and supports are now back as they're just looking to get some opportunity. That copy being used onto Zarya, not my first pick. Yellow goes down. They've lost that speed aspect, and Varian is just looking to brawl, but he's gonna go down by both supports. Hog managing to get support, but it doesn't even matter. I'm a little curious what's going on in Firebat's brain.
He sees Hawk by himself in the backline and decides, hey, I'll BM Shatter. Probably not the best idea, although I will give him some credit. Hawk being back there was a really bad idea from the start, because the off-tank's job in its entirety is just to protect your team, right? And Hawk wasn't really doing much of that. They were looking for assassinations, they were getting greedy. It didn't work. Obviously, they lost the point soon thereafter. No surprise. Oh, interesting rotation. Oh no!
Shatter at the bottom, but not catch anyone as they rotate. Graviton Surge being used. Yellow may be able to find Taylor, but not being able to follow up much. Immortality keeping her Haram more life. That counter shatter comes out for the Graviton Surge, stops them from getting any follow up. As Varian's able to go into the backline to hit Blue Jay while the counter fields be used on each other. It looks like Otters are just being able to kind of mow down. I think that was a bit of luck based, but as well as just Varian being able to get into that backline and hit them with that pressure.
Honestly, it's a little bit tragic that Otters didn't have, Beefers didn't have anyone on the point during that engagement in the castle. Probably have like Mankey or someone on the point, because the cart would have been significantly further along than where it was. So a little bit unfortunate. Weird display of ultimates, but it ultimately ended in the Otters stalling the card for that much longer. 2.5 minutes isn't exactly a large time bank here for Eichwald Streets.
Well, look at that. They stopped them from playing on that bridge. They were preparing to use the high noon, as now these teams are just going in for that brawl. And he falls off the map! He gets hit by the hammer and boop and falls off the map! And the copy tries but gets killed mid-charge. And now Otters are just saying LOL, dude.
Well, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. That's just unfortunate for Firebats. Stay away from the edge. I was expecting to see Yellow Cello get the credit for that boop, but I guess not. I guess Varian's hammer was enough to get that done. And now, fortunately for the offense, they have a slight ultimate advantage with the Idol as well as the beat from Spork, so they might be able to make something of this push.
It was up to Harambe to eat that Blizzard. Unfortunate finding they may be able to get Pulse though to even up this fight. While that sound barrier gets used to get their hopes alive, Pulse manages to get Taylor. Now the counter sound barrier being used. These teams are even. The Reinhardt being able to brawl out quickly. Varian just looking to shut somebody down, but unable to really find much. And it looks like they want to back up to go get that Diva. Making able to find Miraculous. Now that Kree being gone, the Diva's still there. The Shatter's available for him, but that grab gets used to split off, and the Shatter gets used. It stops him from coming out. Yellow gets pooped, and this is honestly evened up the fight. It was an interesting play, but it ends up working out in the end.
60 seconds.
Yeah, you got about a minute remaining. Here's 60 seconds from Athena right there, and the ult economy again is looking relatively in favor of the offense here. They have even more ultimates. They didn't even use the high noon last time, so Taylor's going to have that this time if he wants to flank up onto the high ground or possibly find an off angle. They are wasting a little bit of time waiting for all 6 to come in. That's the importance of not staggering. You do have Varian as well as Pulse just waiting in the wings for the offense.
They use that window, interestingly, really early, and Hawk gets punished on this bridge for being overextended. Now that slow high noon gets used, manages to find Yellow, and now they're just wanting to kind of brawl in. There's nobody stopping them. Bender's gonna go down now. They're using the window, interestingly enough, on a one fight. That charge comes out, and now they're gonna be able to push this payload for free.
Yeah, you do have some ultimates. Pulse is coming up onto the Blizzard for the Otters, but I don't think they really want to contest anymore. They've worn down the clock enough. They can hold earlier on third point and just work from there. Where was it? Oh, they must have been behind. Possibly looking for a high noon.
Yeah, just decided to reset. I'll give them that. The props, but it looks like they want to engage from a 5v6. They're not backing up. They look for that wall, but they've managed to miss it out. They're just slow peeking again. Up to Harambe to eat this upcoming Blizzard and high noon. They're thrown out. That copy being used. That Blizzard is mostly everyone, but the copy's in the back line. The Diva Bomb now being popped out. Immortality still out to keep them alive. Pulse managing to find fire, but that copy is going to be able to stay as the main pick for the time being. And Pulse is going to go down to the other end. That Shatter only managing to really find Hawk. The Graviton Surge is now built as they're looking for the opportunity to copy now gone. Variant's gonna be going down the Hermit stairs, managing to help them out. The High Noon being used, he's ready, but the immortality keeps them up while Yellow's in their back line, the window being used, hopefully to stall this out and look for a pick, but the Sound Barrier using the opportunity to help sustain them. That Shatter comes out in the new Doom Pit after continuously pushing. Sport also able to find Miraculous Counter Shatter now coming out, looking to show fire to be able to almost melt him down. Hawk being able to do this. It looks like this is just another 2 CP moment because the lack of target focus stops them from killing people, and now it looks like Otters are going to be able to once again hold this on the 3rd point. They do have the opportunity for a recontest though.
Talo does have yet another High Noon, so that might be the opening they're looking for. Harambe coming up onto that bomb, so possibly a late fight. Interesting High Noon.
Yeah, using it so early just to give them that space, and now fires on that fall just to try to touch. Same with the Moira. They're looking to do anything, but that Reaper is just gonna get stuck. Oh. No, Baron gets stunned and dies out of position from his support, and now they're being able to just walk all over without that take. They don't have anything to help them. Miraculous also goes down. They don't have the opportunity to stun anyone else. That bomb being thrown up into the air, falling right back down. Managing to find Yellow. There's only a May and Baptiste who can be able to stall this point, but Blue Jays is able to just start melting people down. Remember, he is that Reaper, and they are barely able to touch. Just a meter left. The Reinhardt just trying to do anything. The Tracer now back on, just looking to stall this out, but it was Pulse and Blink's back too fast, and now they get killed, but the Lucio's now back on point. Their target focus is on point, and it looks like they are saying no copies, no redos, as we're taking the 3rd point.
Easy to have target focus when there's only one person to shoot at a time. So, thankfully for the Beefers, they got some really good engagements there on the final point, and that allowed them to just steamroll their way through. It was a little bit scrappy, but ultimately they did get what they needed, and even though it was in overtime, they captured all 3 points, and that's not necessarily the easiest thing to do on Eichenwald. So there's a decent chance that they can hold Otters at any point in this map. They don't have to full hold on 1st point, although I'm sure they'd love to. They don't have to hold on 2nd point. They just have to hold on 3rd point and wear down the clock up until that point. So the win condition for Beefers is relatively easy as long as they stay focused and stay calm. We have Blue Jay teasing Pharah here, which I would personally love to see.
Not teasing. They're doing it.
They're out of spawn.
I think Pharah's a great pick when it comes to this point. But something I kind of want to point out when it comes to both these teams' ult usage, I think there's a slight clear difference. Miraculous has really only used 2 High Noons this entire map compared to Blue Jay and Talo, who has done 4 to 3, and I think that's a bit of an underutilization.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes you can get in the mind space if I need to get this giant 6k or 4k at the very least, but realistically, if you can get 1 or 2 kills with any given ultimate, you're probably doing a good job, because then you can cycle through it relatively fast, you can build up more ultimates, and those kills start to add up. In the meantime, it will be interesting to see how Blue Jay evades Miraculous and how Miraculous decides to fight the Pharah up in the sky.
Especially with the fact that Harambe's built up, like, in use 6 Diva Bombs, and now they're going into this fight. That Pharah is able to get so much burst damage inside the air and manages to kill Bender. They can't engage without their Baptiste, but they're going to be taking that rotation to freeze fire, being all alone, managing to bait out the wall. And the boot comes in to keep them in. That May is so out of position. The charge comes out, and he walked into it without realizing. Pay attention, don't text and drive, kids.
And that's going to be an unfortunate stagger, costing a few seconds, but if you're Otters, you still have time. You just have 3 minutes. That's plenty of time. You just need really one good fight. You need to worry about the Pharah first and foremost. That's going to be Miraculous's job, and also the tank line's job to give Miraculous enough space to work with you. They're doing a good job of forcing out the space in the courtyard here. It's going to make it a little bit more awkward for Blue Jay.
They initially used the May wall to block out the line of sight so they can be able to get to this room, but now they're going to be blocking their front way, dropping down, but Miraculous doesn't follow. He's going to be caught out by Harambe and Sunbrush. As Blue Jays also able to find Yellow, a bit of a weird and slow rotation. It's going to be able to cost them a bit of time, and they really only built up a window for all of that pushing.
Yeah, unfortunate for Otters, but what can you do? Realistically, you said what the problem was right there. There's an awkward and slow rotation, and you can't do slow against a Pharah. That is exactly where she thrives. You need to be able to fast. The Otters managed to take the courtyard over by the downed turret. among the scenery, but they didn't really do anything with it and eventually cornered themselves in this little claustrophobic room, and that's not what a McCree needs to take out a Pharah.
If they wall out the window, now they're finally being able to get on this point. That
Oh,
solo
okay.
shatter comes out to hit Halo. That's going to be good enough to help into this fight. Immortality isn't able to hit Yellow, and the counter shatter comes out but misses the charge. As the Blizzard being used on point is going to slow down and finally kill Blue Jay. Miraculous having the opportunity and the freedom to start spraying and praying as the Mercy hits Q. And just tries to do their best to red. They did the Mercy strat where they just turned their sense on the highest. And look at the stagger on Harambe, this poor soul.
Unfortunate, nothing more you can do. However, if you're on attack on an escort, probably don't want to stagger the diva for too long, so that's why they eventually took Harambe out. You know, you really need as much time as you can get here if you're the Otters, especially because they have to capture all 3 points. There is no other way. Fortunately for them, they have a pretty decent ult economy coming into this. They have the bomb, they have the high noon, they have the beat, so they have a lot of... Well, now they don't have their Mei, so that's unfortunate, but they have a lot of things once they regroup to come into this next offense.
Look at them slowly walk out. They managed to bring out Harambe again. Another stagger for Soul as Bender goes down, and they're able to get 2 picks. But they do kill Miraculous. It seems that they still want to kind of take this fight, even with Spork still alive, to heal up the team. They can just wait it out and wait for the Lucio to come back.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird decision there from Otters to have a few members flank and try and go around. Obviously, they were going to get staggered, but they were looking for picks themselves. But right now, the defense has marginally quicker spawns, so it's a little bit worrying when they're wasting so much time looking for staggered picks when they don't have the spawn advantage.
Yeah, they kill Blue Jay, but that wall comes out to split him. The Sound Bear being used in the high noon! Catches Safara Mercy out in the air. They weren't paying attention to the skylines. This is Miraculous's airport. I don't think that's joke, but like, it was the first thing that came to my mind.
This is a no-fly zone, I think is what you wanted to say. Either way, the defense has quite a few ultimates of their own. However, Blue Jay is going to have a difficult time getting out into the open air, especially because Miraculous has just been patrolling the choke points non-stop, and they're going to have a really difficult time finding any freedom here for the time being.
Yeah, look, they as he was looking for that barrage, and the window's being used with the immortality to hopefully find an early pick, but they kill off fire. Now the Reds comes out, but that Diva Bomb and Blizzard are gonna stop them. And again, a no-fly zone. You're not gonna be able to do anything, and they're just gonna be cleaning up the picks to be able to catch second point. I do think they've over-invested for this next fight, which might give the opportunity to kind of win the next brawl, but they're not going to be able to play this far in these close quarters anymore.
Yeah, definitely. If you're Blue Jay, this is the time where you have to sacrifice the barrage. Just go on to something like a Junkrat if you really want to stick with the spam damage, maybe a Doomfist if you're feeling cheeky. But the barrage isn't worth it. You're not going to find anything. As soon as I say that, he's going to find like a 4K on a flank, but we'll have to wait and see. Mankey isn't even on the Mercy anymore, so he doesn't have his pocket. Blue Jay's going to have a incredibly difficult time actually finding value here. But in the meantime, the offense doesn't have a lot of ultimates to work with, so let's see how they decide.
Yep, that Shatter comes out, gets blocked, and look at that, the Far gets stunned and just killed in the air. Unfortunate. Harambe doing an amazing job. Hugs being doing a job. That Diva Bomb comes out, managed to get blocked by the Mei wall as they're now going slowly in. We also see Blue Jay going straight back onto the Reaper, wanting that extra brawl opportunity as Miraculous is looking for the high noon. They're playing small into these quarters. The window now being used, counter high noon being used, managed to get Bender and Barry and managed to go down. Unfortunately, this is not looking great. They don't have the main tank. I doubt they want to push this anymore, but rather just build up ult and escape while you can.
Yeah, honestly, if you're Outers, you just have to take at least one more dry fight. You have time. This is not do or die scenario quite yet. They have 2 minutes remaining. They have coming up on 4 ultimates, so maybe they can invest some ultimates as well, because the defense really only has Coalescence. Ideally, they're going to be tracking that, but it really depends on how they want to approach this.
Yeah, look at that. What a big shatter! Forces the Coalescence out. The high noon shuts down it, and the support goes down. They have no supports. It's all up to a stall at this last second as they manage to get off the Diva. Harambe is being able to stall, but Hawks is going to get them. This is a last-minute scenario. They have no ultimates in the bank.
This is do or die for Beefers now, because they have to stall until under a minute to get another attempt. Otherwise, it's lose or draw for them.
Yeah, look at that. They they're being able to poke people out. Miraculous in the backline, looking for people to get support. That's less healing. The ball on the high ground. That charge from Spawn, unable to find much, and they're looking a little low. Miraculous does go down the sound barrier, keeping them sustained and alive, as Barry is just able to kind of mow down and the Diva Bomb being placed on there. The Lucio managing to stay alive, and now there's a Tracer hoping to stall this out. Ball slamming down, Barry just managing to kill and inflate his ego with the KD, as they're going to be able to touch Soldier now coming out the Shatter, managing to catch Harambe mid-charge, and now the Soldier's just doing anything, and Mankey can't touch, and they cap with a minute 41. Honestly, this is not looking... I think this is still 100% winnable when it comes to the Beavers, but if you're them, you kind of wish this just didn't happen.
Yeah, realistically, the defense could have held there on third point, but they did the bare minimum of what they needed to still stay in this series, and that is take it under a minute. They got it to 41 seconds remaining, which obviously pushes everything up to a minute 41 for Otters, and then a full minute for Beefers. So they're still in this, and they're going to have their next attack right now. So this is their time to shine. This is their last stand. They really have to make something out of this, because if they don't even get a tick, they get full held on the 1.5 fights that they're going to have, then it's draw or lose at that point, and you really don't want to go out in this way after such a great showing in Eichenwald. Honestly, this is looking like a completely different Beefers than the first two maps.
Yeah, honestly, I really hope that Blue Jay just says, nah, let's not go with the main, go with the Pharah. They made so much space and put on so much pressure that it took Miraculous a good while to learn how to counter it. And the only reason why they had to swap off on third point was because it was so close quarters. Otherwise, they were doing a fairly good job on it.
Yeah, Pharah is extremely viable, especially because Miraculous was having a tough time outside of his high noons to actually deal with the Pharah Mercy, but I guess they're just sticking with old Reliable for the time being. It's really going to depend on Blue Jay's ability to find those walls then, to create those engagements, and how Otters want to deal with those walls.
Now look at that wall, splits them up, they've lost their creep, but the charge comes out, they get Miraculous, and the Reinhardt gets frozen and stunned as he's just having to back up due to the immortality keeping them alive. But they've lost that creep, they've lost that damage potential, and now the fight's not looking in favor of them. That wall manages to split them up, but the Reinhardt caught off guard, so they have to fully engage, misses the charge and takes with his life. As now, Flyers just being able to walk out in, and the Taylor instead is just going to get these picks, being able to just start clicking heads of Diva, just looking to touch and stall this out. This is the best scenario that you want right now.
Yeah, and if you're a Beefers fan, you gotta be pretty happy, because that is first point. Basically, from here on out, they cannot leave the cart. They have to have someone on cart. Fortunately for them, no one on the defense is really close to an ultimate outside of maybe Bender and Varian coming up rather soon. But if you're the offense, you really just want to kite, mostly everyone kites, someone obviously has to stay on cart, and prevents Varian in particular from getting up to his Shatter, because that could be a fight-winning ultimate and a round-ending ultimate by itself. However, the attack, obviously, since they did so well in the first point offense, they're going to have a lot more ultimates coming up online. All they really need is the defense to drop down from the high ground, and they could abuse them.
Yeah, on the bright side, they're just waiting for an ult. They finally built up that window. The comes out, hitting that Reinhardt. Pulse goes down so early. It's not looking great. The window being used. Look at that. They already get the pick. Same with the high noon being used. And honestly, the defense needs to play a bit more confident. Remember, it's in overtime. All the offense has to do is touch off the point, and they lose. And the defense is just kind of giving them the space.
Yeah, the defense right now, Otters are kind of playing as though it weren't in extra innings, as it were. They're in overtime for the remainder of this push, and they're getting darn near close to second point. Are they going to be able to touch?
The grab gets used, Pulse gets killed before anything. They can't touch. It manages to have second point, and now they've lost even more. They've invested abilities. They used that Shatter, and they've lost. And now this is the worst case scenario when it comes to Otter. They've already capped second point. You have ultimates in the bank, but now they're coming up on a Blizzard, and they have the opportunity to end the fight if you don't make a miracle.
Has anyone on Beefers died thus far this round? I don't think they have, and now they have the Blizzard coming up. That was a beautiful grab from Harambe. Firebats, the way he's been building the Shatter, should have another one rather soon.
And look at that Blizzard gets used, but same with the counter Blizzard. That's going to stall both of these teams. Miraculous able to hit Taylor while the Sound Barrier keeping their hopes alive. Honestly, they did amazing, and that Shatter comes out, but there's no follow-up. I think Beefers did an amazing job, but it looks like third point. It's just going to stop at the choke.
Yeah, this is probably where it's gonna end. I don't think Blue Jay is gonna create a miracle by themselves, but that is staggering the amount of progress they got out of just a minute into extra innings. Otters are gonna have to bring it harder than they have all series long, despite the fact that they're up 2-0 to get it even to second point. To cap second point in overtime like that is massive. Yet to get it halfway through third point and beyond that first curve on third point as well, which is very holdable. So if you're Beefers here, this is not only possible, this is likely to be a hold somewhere in the overtime push.
I'm so nervous right now because this could either be a very intense game or just a full hold, and we bring this into another game. We do see the Pharah coming back, which is what I like. But again, I want to point out how amazing Harambe has played. 16 ultimates used. I mean,
that's insane.
That's basically using your ult the first chance you get. Nobody on his team has even hit 10.
No.
So you really have to think Harambe is just playing at a faster pace than his team.
Probably, yeah, he has been doing a lot, especially in that overtime push. That grab was honestly clutch and probably got them second point single-handedly. I am liking the DPS from Otters, though, here. The Hanzo McCree is extremely high damage. Oh no, he's actually swapping off of it, it looks like, possibly over to the Mei.
Yeah, they see the Pharah, they want to back out, they want to switch to that D.Va Mei.
Okay, yep. I honestly wouldn't blame them for sticking onto the Hanzo just for the extra damage they can get. Okay, yep, I'll say they're going double hit scan. So this is now dangerous for Blue Jay. He has to play extremely careful because there's going to be a crossfire on him. Oh no.
Yeah, look at that. Already getting some amazing shots and has to force him to back out. They're going to be rotating all the way to point, but they force Blue Jay to stay behind the pillar. The boop comes out, almost a direct hit, kills him, but keeps their hopes alive. They're stuck in this small area. They're a bit split, just hoping to do anything. They're taking these off angles to try to take out this Pharah, but it's not working. Harambe gets stunned, but is able to just back out. We're on the 60-second mark. They need to make a miracle happen. Try to find a pick, try to take this engage. They're going to be taking it now as they touch point, looking for that opportunity. Both Ryans going out, looking for something. As the Pharah just being able to stay in the air, not being shut down. Immortality now goes down for the side of Otters. Their Reinhardt going down so low, while Beefers just stay in this room with nothing to worry about. Miraculous does able to find Harambe, but Blue Jay's able to find him. But Hawk is able to find Blue Jay. They still have the mercy for the res opportunity. But he gets shot by Pulse in the head, and they manage to cap without a worry. And the Shatter just shuts him down. They just did it for the main tank difference.
I don't know about that one, Barry, and that one, you might want the Shatter back, because you don't have very much time and resources now. You have the High Noon, you have the Bob, and you have the Window. You're going to have a few other ultimates up soon, but it's getting into risky territory, because the defense also has a decent amount of ultimates, namely the High Noon. They're going to have the Valkyrie rather soon, as well as Blue Jay coming up onto that barrage. Any of those, aside from the the Valkyrie, obviously can't be fight ending by itself, but it's going to create a lot of openings for the defense here at Beefers to actually end it.
It also helps them build up ultimate while they take this next fight. Tail has the High Noon. That Pharah's going to have the run, and they kill Sport. This is not looking great. Tail's able to find Taylor. Now Pulse is able to find Miraculous hitting that Mankey. The Pharah just looking for the opportunity, but it's going to be shut down by Pulse. These doubles hit scan are doing an amazing job of making Blue Jay play so uncomfortable.
Yeah, honestly, if you're Blue Jay right now, you might want to consider swapping over to something like the Junkrat early, because it's going to be very difficult to get out of these choke points and actually use your barrage, unless they coordinate something with Spork's Lamp, but otherwise, looks like they're going to be trying.
Yep, look, the Shatter comes out, and it kills Bender! That's not good for Otters, as they're now looking for these opportunities. The Sound Barrier being used just to stall this out. That charge comes out, hits fire. The High Noon being used just to stall it out in the air, and the Shatter hits everyone! And it looks like they don't even need Bender to win. He's just going to respawn right now, because Varian is just saying, LOL, Shattered. Goes blurred.
Well, the defense will have rather late spawns there. They're all coming back right now. Mankey giving up whatever ult charge they had on the Lucio for the Moira just to get back sooner. They do have the barrage. They have the grab, as well as the High Noon. So they do have the opportunity to win it here, but they have to act quick.
Yeah, look at that. The Gravitas Surge gets used. The barrage gets blocked and stunned. Everything. The Reinhardt's in the back line as well. Miraculous able to find Blue Jay.
Oh, no.
There's no Reinhardt. The Shatter comes out, only really able to hit Bender as the Teal Bomb gets used, finds no one, but is able to force them back. Honestly, I think the issue with this is that Harambe, look at this man. He said no, point. But it's unfortunate, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to really touch besides Blue Jay here. The Tracer having to go up. They have the ability to win. There's just no support, and one of them's already on 1 health. Look at that. They managed to pick it off. There's only Blue Jay left on the point. This is the opportunity that you're looking for. The stall, the 2 CP moment. Pulse able to find Blue Jay as Harambe needs to touch the point, but no, it looks like they're going to be having Mankey do it, as now the Reinhardt has just continued back. Hawks looking for the opportunity to just contest them around. Harambe now blocking off the damage, and he's probably feeling to split up Pulse. Miraculous is able to find him now. The point, only a few meters left away. They're using that window for the extra damage. The slam goes down. They're not finding any value from it, as they're just looking to stall this out of it. Blue Jay goes down with a shatter. Now finishes it up. The sound barrier high noon. They're hitting Q. They just want to end this fight. And what a valiant effort. But you are not ready for the Otters, because they win 3-0.
That was an incredible attempt to stall there from Beefers. Honestly, I don't think they have anything to be ashamed of for Eichenwald. Obviously, they can learn something from the other 2 maps and possibly warm up sooner, whatnot. But otherwise, this map was so close. Once again, Varian stealing play of the game.
Yeah, I think the most unfortunate part was in that last push is that they had the win condition there. They 100% could have won that, but they just didn't find any picks, and the stall could only last for so long when Variant just comes in and just slams that hammer down.
Yeah, really unfortunate, especially when Harambe found 3 kills by himself at the final hour, but it just wasn't enough. There were too many remaining members of Otters at the very end to push it through and allow for more staggers to come in.
Yeah, so
unfortunate.
The question is on Otters. Do we want to bring one of them in for an interview? I definitely do. I think at least either Hawks or Variant. I want to bring them in and get the perspective from the tank line.
Yeah, sure, we can ask them. And while we set that up, we're going to go to a short break, so stick with us, folks, and we'll be right back.
There's a distance between us. It's getting hard to reach out. Haven't seen you in seasons, but all I hear is your voice. I know my limits, you can break me down, but I'll stay till the finish line. And I've been counting minutes for quite some time now, just to see you again. And I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see you again. Been finding ways to get away, to see you again, see you again. We got millions of reasons to let it all go. Hope we're not too broken. I know I'm not always strong.
Welcome back from that off time. We are here joined by Variant, the main tank from the Otters. How does it feel to win your 3-0 match?
It feels good, man. Me and my team, we practiced a lot this week, and first match is always nervous, but especially when you're on a new team. But I would say that tonight speaks for itself mostly.
Makes a lot of sense. Akron, I'm going to let you start off with the questions.
All right. Well, From what I can see on your team card, the Otters have actually been around for quite a while into Owlet. So, what, if any, like internal structures were there when you came into the team? You said it was relatively new, this roster.
Well, I wouldn't say. At least I'm new to the team. I've been in Outlet before, but like I wasn't on ours. I actually was on a different team long ago. But like, uh, for the most part, I think most of the people that are in ours are fairly the people who have been in ours before, or like at least a part of the others team. Uh, but with our new team that we have that are playing Outlet right now, I think like Hawk's new, and then Miraculous is new as well. But you know, it shows that both of us, even coming into a new team that we know we were able to pull through, and we starting to get the synergy going.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely pulled through. And speaking of that, what was your guys' mentality? What were your comms like going into that overtime push for Eichenwald? Obviously, your opponents pushed it incredibly far in their own overtime push.
It was crazy. If we had a hot mic for like, uh, if we had a hot mic, you guys would be like, all you would hear is like, kill this, kill that. Like, I mean, we were just trying to do quick fights, trying to rotate as fast as we can, call in our targets as soon as possible. You would probably hear me say shatter a dozen times this game because I just keep getting one every 1 minute, I guess. But it was crazy. The biggest concern we were worried about was the Pharah, because I know like when we did first attack, we kind of let her escape our vision, and uh we just kind of got cornered. So we made sure to look at the Pharah every time that you know. And then when we get into that last push, that they never used it, unfortunately. So like they used it at the very end, and we had to make sure that DM was up and making sure that all the provisions were there to make sure that it didn't go wrong.
Well, it definitely worked out for you because the Fire didn't do quite as much the second time around. Intel, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, your new piece, and how did it feel to kind of fit into the synergy for a team who obviously has a bit of history going into these matches?
Uh, I've, I was worried because like I stopped playing Overwatch for a while, at least competitively, like super competitively. So I was a little nervous coming into my first game, I guess, out of retirement for a couple months at least. But I really like my team now. Like, I love my team, and I'm hoping that we'll keep getting W's in the future, and hopefully I'll stay on the main roster until hopefully the meta doesn't change and it goes to like Diva Ball or something because I can't play ball.
I can fully respect that. Honestly, have you scouted any of the other teams within the league, before or after this game?
I can't like I know that we did a little bit of research trying to figure out like you know what what our enemy team was going to play, but for the most part we haven't really I don't think scouted anyone else. If you want me,
Oh yeah, because
no.
the question turns into is that is there any team that you guys are currently kind of, it's week one obviously, but is there any team that you have seen against and you're a bit worried to go up against them?
Like you said, it's week one, so we haven't really seen too much like people playing as of yet. But I know that one team that we want to face is probably Crusaders the most. But I don't know how well that'll go. But I am interested to see the team, mainly because apparently Otters and Crusaders have some history. So, but good history. But
Yeah, well, I'm really glad to hear. I don't really have any other questions, so I think if you're happy, if you want to say any shout outs or thanks to your team.
yeah, I just want to say thank you to my healers, especially Yellow Cello and Bender, keeping me alive when I decided to charge in and shatter, and my diva for peeling for me, Hawk, he's awesome, and my DPS for popping off Miraculous, he's awesome, and everyone else is great. Like our coaches too. Coaches are awesome. They've been really helping us push forward as a new team.
All right. Well, we will let you get back to your team and enjoy the rest of the night. Congratulations again, Varian.
Thank you. Thank you.
Honestly, what an amazing match. I definitely think this was extremely close, but a couple of changes and differences really ended up making the true difference. Reminder to always check out Owlet, especially the matches that happen next week. My name is username_Intel. This is Acronator, and we thank you so much for joining us for week 1 of Owlet.